Hey folks, this is Paul with Live for Moto, and I am going to do a follow-up on a previous video that I did about the Motoz Tractionator tires that I had installed on my BMW. So this is kind of a midlife follow-up.
It's always a good time. It's always a good time.
Last fall, I did a video called Motoz Tractionator GPS and Adventure Tires, and I did a review on those. It was just my initial first thoughts, having just installed the tires, and I want to do a follow-up on these. Okay, let me just stop myself right there. You see, when I started making this video, I actually only had half of the story. I was actually going to address mostly just issues about the front tire, and I was going to give the back tire a bunch of praise in this video originally. But now I'm dubbing over everything that I was talking about and saying because over the course of the last couple of days from the time that I had started this video until now, the story has changed dramatically. Let me tell you how. In the original recording that you are watching but not hearing, I did a pretty lengthy and involved description of what had gone on with the front tire. So I'm just going to give you a very condensed version of that now. The front tire at about 2,500 miles started wearing horribly, made the entire front end of the bike extremely unstable. So in my first review, when I gave a great report on the front tire and the rear tire, I would say that that report was not wrong. Initially, they felt wonderful. After a 2,500 mile stretch, the front tire felt horrible, totally unstable, and had some extremely poor wear patterns. When I brought it to the attention of the dealership where I bought the tires, they agreed and said that they would speak with Motoz about the issues with the way the front tire was wearing. You are seeing some of the chunking effects in the video right now, and as I continue here, you'll see a couple of things with the way it was wearing. Now, a little bit of scalloping or cupping and dishing on these tires is pretty normal for an off-road tire that gets run on the asphalt some, but it was the instability that was really the big issue there with the front tire. So there's also some rear tire issues, which initially I did not know about. And then there's the issue about how it was dealt with. So let me tell you about how that went. I reported the issue to my dealership where I do all of my motorcycle business for KTM and BMW, and as always, they were extremely accommodating and willing to help. So the issue was not so much in their hands as much as it was in the hands of Motoz. So they had taken some video and some pictures of what was going on, and they had said, yeah, we've seen this kind of a thing before. Motoz had a bad batch of rubber, and we don't anticipate any issue in getting your tires either refunded or replaced or something to that effect. And it was left right there without any further issue, and I was just waiting for a reply. A day or so later, the dealership called me and they said, hey, Paul, we have a Motoz GPS front tire for your motorcycle if you would like to have that installed, and we can put that on immediately. And I decided that I would go ahead and do that as I had a trip coming up that I was really looking forward to taking. So I went down to the dealership and they put the tire on and said that they would get back to me on the refund of the previous tire, the one that you're seeing in the picture. So I had that front tire installed and I brought it back to the house, and as I was preparing to leave out on my trip the next morning doing my pre-trip inspections on the bike, I noticed something horrible on the back tire. There was deep, deep cracking. I'm going to show you pictures here in just a second of the cracking that was in there. The pictures don't do it justice because the cracking is actually all the way into the carcass of the tire. So needless to say, I did not take my trip, and the rear tire was basically shot at that point. I didn't trust it. The bad news is that the tire had been performing quite well up to this point, and it wasn't until I had done these inspections that I discovered there was a problem. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the pictures of the rear tire. And like I said, initially, at face value, it didn't seem like much, but upon a good inspection, I realized that these cracks that you're seeing are deep. Like you could see the inner carcass portion of the tire down through these things, and I just couldn't portray that very well in the picture. But there was about 26 cracks throughout the whole circumference of the tire. So I was pretty disappointed by that, obviously. I sent this information to the dealership as well, and within a day they had gotten back to me, and the short and not so sweet response was that Motoz had pretty much said, sorry about your luck. They weren't going to refund, they weren't going to replace, they weren't going to do anything about the tire. So I don't like to trash any company, as I realize how hard it can be getting a business started, but I am pretty dissatisfied with the way that my interaction with the Motoz tires went. Initially, they seemed great, and they deteriorated very quickly. So for those of you who may have bought these tires based upon my initial review of them, to you I apologize, and I hope that you got a better compound of rubber than I did and are having great luck with your tires. My experience was not so great. Folks, as always, thank you for watching, and remember, ride with a smile.